Hello, Jim. How are you? Still sporting the shiner there from a couple of days ago. I love it. Thanks for joining us.
No problem. Thanks for having me, Ariel.
Okay, so were you expecting the 300 booking to come just a couple of days after your fight on Saturday?
Kinda. I figured that they would contact me soon enough. Afterwards, because I know that they were trying to fill the card and get everything lined up. Since it's a big event. But yeah, it all happened really fast on my end too. I mean, I didn't find out about the fight until probably about like 4:30.
Okay.
So it was yeah.
In the
Pretty
cage
quick.
on Saturday, you mentioned Paul Felder, and it was great to see you
Mhm.
kind of mention names because you're not really the call-out guy. So, like, you
Yeah.
did it in the most respectful way possible. But you did mention Felder, you mentioned Matt Brown, you even mentioned Brock, which is the one I was really
Of
pulling
course.
for. That was the one that I wanted. Uh,
Me too.
yeah, you went 0 for 3 though. You got Bobby Green. Were
Yeah.
you surprised it was Bobby Green?
Um, not necessarily surprised, but after our last attempt to fight each other fell through, I kind of told Sean Shelby, I was like, maybe this fight's cursed. Like maybe let's stay away from it because we're over 3 at this point. So, you know, I'm not a superstitious guy, right? But like this fight's been a decade in the making. I mean, we attempted it in 2014. He ended up getting injured. We attempted it in 2021. We both weighed in. He ended up, not having a good weight cut and collapsing during his medicals. And then we tried it again in 2022, and it ended up getting messed up again. So um, hopefully, crossing my fingers that we actually get to step into the octagon this time.
Does this fight excite you less than if it was Felder or Brown? And maybe because of that history, does it make you a little uneasy because weird things tend to happen when you guys are booked together?
Um, you know, it, it, my coaches were like, shit,
Yeah.
because they were like, I've prepared for him for 6 months out of
Right.
my life, So I know what to expect with the fight. I like the fight. It's the fact that it has fallen through a few times that makes them a little bit uneasy. Um, I'm excited for it. He's still in big fights. He's ranked at the moment. So yeah, like I like the fight. I enjoy it, and I'm just as fired up, maybe if not more,
Okay.
to fight him.
And just curious, did they explore Felder or Brown?
Um, I don't even know,
Okay.
honestly, Ariel. It's like I got a text from Sean saying call me. Next thing you know, I'm on speaker with him and Dana and Hunter, and they're like Bobby Green, and I was like, that this fight we've tried this a couple times, and they're
Yeah.
like, yeah. But to be at this point and in a fight that with a win gets me ranked again, it's a pretty ridiculous storyline. So,
Yeah.
it's uh, I like it. I like it.
By the way, what's that phone call like? Like, did they make a big deal about the fact 100, 200, 300? Did you get some sort of or was it literally just like Bobby Green, you
Eh,
in, and then that's it?
yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Oh my God. There was no like toast. There was no like
No,
nothing.
no. Yeah, no, nothing. I was in the middle of the woods with my son.
Oh my
We
God.
went for a walk and and I was like, "Uh-oh, I got to take this."
At least you got service over there.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
And so just curious about that. When did the dream of 300 enter your mind? Because obviously 100, 200, we knew about that, but you've been talking
Mhm.
about this for a little bit. But do you remember like when this started to become like a thing you were really starting to dream about?
I think I probably threw it out there in like 2019 maybe.
Yeah.
Like and where I was at that point was different than where I am right now, like it was more so like, okay, let's throw out, the finish line. And if I make it obnoxious enough, like we'll get a little press and we'll put it out there. It'll uh help me drag me along for a few more years. But where I am now, man, it's a completely different story. Like when I originally mentioned it, it was to be my final fight because I was preparing, for like when I was preparing for 196, I was like, man, I'm just going to get through this and I'm going to ask Joe Silva to get me on 200 so that I can retire at 200. And, I was in a much different place back then. Um, so then it was like, hey, well, let's see if we can retire at 300. But again, now I'm 5-1 in my last six. All those five being finishes, and yeah, like I think I kind of figured out how to train and fight like an old man. So like I've got a few more left in me, and yeah, we'll keep chugging along as long as I can.
So when you say you figured out how to train and fight like an old man, every 40-year-old fighter out there is looking to like, okay, what is the secret?
Yeah. Oh
So
yeah, they're all asking.
yes. So what is the secret? How do you train and fight like an old man?
A lot of it comes down to compromise, right? Like, so, one of the things that kind of irked me about the buildup for Tony's last fight, right, was that it was like, he's got to remember who he was and this and that, and it's like, man, like he's not the same guy that he was in 2018, right? Like, and I know that I'm not the same guy that I was in 2010, and when I was ranked in the top 10 and on a 9-1 in the UFC type stuff, right? So when I'm training now, it's like, all right, like my number one goal when I'm on the mats is to stay healthy. Like that's first and foremost, is not do anything stupid that I used to do as a young kid, because I was more flexible and recovered a lot easier. And it's like, okay, well, I'm trained to fight somebody that's good at an arm bar or guillotines or this or that. And you start in those positions, you are working out of that stuff. It's like I've got so many reps at that there's no sense in risking my health to try to get more reps in. So I try to be healthy, I try to be in shape, and those two things are easy. It's like not train with an ego and get on the bike, get some rounds on the bike in. And then it's like then I focus on being sharp at what I'm good at and being able to, fight to my style. And the last thing I'm worried about is what my opponent brings to the table, especially at this point. I've seen pretty much everything, right? Like Bobby Green is like that rare puzzle that like nobody really fights like him, So I've seen just about everything, right? Except like his style of boxing. But yeah, like I really learned how to kind of make those calls myself as well. There's a lot of great coaches in the industry that care about their fighters, and obviously want them to do well. But they don't know what the fighter's going through, and as an older guy, like those rough days for me, they come a lot more often. When I was in my 20s, it's one bad day a year on the mats, like literally. And now it's like, week by week, you might have a couple where it's like, okay, well, maybe we're a little overtrained. We didn't sleep well last night, whatever, something's going on, this and that. So like I've learned how to kind of throttle my training around the way that my body feels. And if I feel like it's not a good day to push myself, then I don't push myself. I get good reps in, I protect myself, I do some conditioning, and that's it. Like I know that the dog is in me. Like I know how to fight. I know how to fight hard. I know how to push myself. It's a matter of doing that on fight night, not necessarily doing it in training to try to prove it to myself. So it's a difficult thing to do, especially as a fighter. Like you don't want to be a bitch. You don't want to be like, hey, I know it's sparring day. I know it's today's, shark bait rounds, this and that, but coach, I'm not feeling it. But I think that a lot of my peers that have gotten hurt in training and those injuries that have pulled them out of fights, they probably knew. If they really were honest with themselves, they probably knew that day wasn't the day to push, or something was bothering them and they decided to push through it, or pretend that it wasn't going on, the issue wasn't going on. So yeah, so it as silly as it sounds, it's like it's about using my brain a bit more than my body at this point.
Are there any lingering effects from the Lyme disease anymore? Anything you have to do on a daily or weekly basis?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say so. Like my lifestyle is what it is, and like I eat very cleanly. I don't eat a lot of processed food. I try to eat from whole foods as much as I can. Uh, get a good night's sleep. Try to get that 8 hours of sleep. Um, if I fall off my diet, like I feel it, and I get low energy. I get some inflammation. My joints. I get inflammation in my nose. Like feel it if I eat the wrong foods. Uh, and I don't know if that's just from being a 40-year-old or if that's from the Lyme disease, right? So like, it, I can't really say that I'm dealing with anything in particular. The things that were really kicking my ass, the neural fatigue, right? Like I was so just zapped when it was bad. Like I couldn't push myself. I couldn't sprint. I couldn't lift. I couldn't do anything that was like anaerobic. And I'm definitely beyond that. I don't get the twitching that was dealing with for a while there. I don't have the severe joint pain that I used to have. I mean, I used to be like mid round, I'd go to stand up and I'd have to like brace on my knee and stand up like an old man. I'm making noises and stuff like, well into a workout. And I don't have to deal with that stuff anymore. I mean, but yeah, it's hard to say. It's really kind of hard to say if those things are still there. I pretend they are to keep me honest, to keep me on my diet and to keep me doing the right things and not make those mistakes that could potentially bring it back. But yeah, I sure as hell hope that it's done.
If the UFC was an organization that did a number of events, it was just like, boxing. They have
Mhm.
top rank, this guy versus this guy. Like the number thing wasn't a thing. Do you think you would have retired a long time ago? In other words, did the numbers kind of keep you around? So the goal of 200 and then the goal of 300 eventually came. Do you think you would have retired long ago if this wasn't something you wanted to accomplish?
Probably not. Probably not. Eh, like I kind of feel like I've had a couple different careers packed into one. At least like physically, I felt like different fighters. And I had that early part where I came in with a full head of steam. Put had a great record and was fighting these tough guys, and I dropped a few here and there, but like the way that I fought was a specific way, like just pure aggression, pure pace. Um, and then like I fell into that middle part, that things kind of got taken away from me. That ability to fight like that got taken away from me, and so I was trying to like figure out where I was, and uh, it. I felt like I started to get over the Lyme early 18, but it still took me probably at least 2 years to kind of figure out how to fight, now, right? How to fight now at 35 and 36 as opposed to 26. So uh yeah, like I think that um I think I would have kept going without that little thing, the little finish line that I put in my head, just because I was trying to figure out like how to do it, and it was there, right? It was always there. I always knew that on my best days I could compete and beat anybody. It's just about making it more likely to have those good days when I'm stepping into the octagon.
Is there any chance this is your last fight?
No, no, barring like some stupid injury that knock on wood, that like it would take years to get over. Yeah, I feel like I found a groove, and yeah, I think I got a few more.
Okay.
beyond this.
I love it. Yeah, because I was going to say, why would you retire now, right? Like you're on a
All
roll.
right. Right.
You just subbed a really tough guy, a younger guy on Saturday,
Hmm.
and this is obviously a fight that you can win. Now you can really roll. So I love
Hmm.
to hear that. Um, I'm curious about your take on Bobby Green. I know we talked about like it being booked and whatnot, but are you at
Hmm.
all surprised that he's coming back so soon after getting knocked out the way in which he was knocked out in December?
Um, not necessarily. Eh, he's a fighter, man. Like he. I get the impression, right? I don't really know him. I mean, we've had a couple conversations over the years. Um, like I get the impression that he loves this. So, it's eh, it's hard. It's hard to put myself in other people's shoes when those types of results happen from a fight. Um, you know, so if he feels ready, if his team feels that he's ready, then it absolutely doesn't surprise me that he's going to hop right back in.
Did you see that fight? And the stoppage was very controversial because
Hmm.
I felt like it lasted 12 seconds too long. He being the
Mm.
fighter that he is, and a lot of other fighters were like, "No, let me die out there." I'm just curious, as a veteran, what did you think of that?
I didn't think it was that bad.
Okay,
Um,
I thought it was
I
horrendous, horrific.
I I thought it like he was attempting to move. He wasn't doing a very good job. But it's not like he was like unconscious getting hit for a bunch of shots. So I wasn't too upset with the stoppage. Um, maybe a couple strikes late, in my opinion. Um, you know, it's we it's not a this is badminton.
Yeah.
So like we get into a fist fight. So that's part of the game, unfortunately. And we all know that going into it.
Okay, fair enough. By the way, getting to fight in front of a big crowd, uh,
Hmm.
that's fun, right? Like, I know you probably don't care,
Absolutely.
but you probably get up for it a little bit more than the Apex, setting.
Definitely. Like there's positives and negatives to the Apex, in my opinion. I do like that it's in and out.
Yeah,
Like we're not there a long time before the fight. Get in, get wrapped up, warm up, fight, press, boom, you're out.
yeah,
And it's like, okay, well, the I enjoy that because there have been events in the past where you end up going to a press conference after the main event's done, on the East Coast, and it's
yeah.
like you get out of the press conference at 3 o'clock in the morning. Um, but yeah, fighting in front of a big crowd is awesome. While the fight's happening, I get such tunnel vision that I don't really hear what's going on. It's kind of just white noise. Um, it's those moments in between that things open up and I can hear the crowd and I can, see the crowd type stuff. I can still hear the crowd in between rounds for that first Lozon fight of, whatever that was, 12 years ago or
Wow.
10, 11 years ago. Um, and I've only fought outside the Apex once since COVID happened. So, it'll be cool to be back in front of a big crowd again, big octagon. Yeah. And to be able to share hopefully a fantastic fight with a big crowd there it's cool, you know.
And I don't know how active you are online, but it's rare that MMA fans are unanimously on the same page. Everyone wanted you to get on this card, and everyone rejoiced last night when they put you on the card. And I think everyone wanted you, as much as Mowgli's a great guy with a great family.
Mhm.
Like I think people just wanted you to come out of that fight with a victory unscathed, so that you can be on this card and there could be no
Mhm.
roadblocks. Are you like? I don't know how many of these people even remember Jim Miller from the IFL. You know what I mean? And from the early days in the UFC and fighting on Facebook against Benson Henderson on the first Fox card
Yeah,
and all that. Like, what a freaking
yeah.
run, man. It's unbelievable. It really is inspiring and a beautiful thing to watch. To see all these fans from all these different eras come together and all root for you to get on this card and be happy for you. Are you aware of any of this? Do you look at any of this? Are you
I
being told about this?
I am, yeah. I'm definitely aware, and I'm super appreciative of it, like because it's uh the attention and the praise that I've gotten and the fanfare is for me being me, and that means a lot, right? Like I'm not putting on some persona. I'm not putting on a show. I'm not pretending to be something I'm not when I'm in the public eye in order to get people's attention. The attention that I'm getting is by this same guy that's sitting. I'm waiting for my daughter to get out of school, sitting at the high school. Like, I'm a father of four, a husband. I've got a hobby farm, and I fight in the octagon and have more fights than anybody and more wins. So, like, I've just tried to be true to myself this entire time and be me, and I think that it resonates, especially this day and age. And yeah, it's cool to get the appreciation for that.
Very well said. Two last very quick ones. Will you be disappointed if you don't get into the Hall of Fame? I think you are a Hall of Famer. Your career is
Thank you.
unique. Do you care about that?
It for things that are post fighting career, that's a big thing to be able to say. Um, I'm still doing it. So where I am right now, I'm not concerned about it because I'm still competing and I'm still not done. So there's still more story to write that might change the opinion of people like Daniel Cormier. Like, listen, there's still a lot of fight left in me, and we'll see how it goes. Um, eh, I've fought nearly 3 times a year in the UFC for the last 15 years.
Crazy.
Exactly. It's nuts. It's nuts to think about. It's nuts to think that I have dodged so many bullets in training and in fights, and haven't had to deal with an injury that kept me out for a year, like, or or dealt with any of that stuff. Like, it's there has been a lot of luck involved. There has been, I believe that I was born to fight. So there's genetics involved, but there's been definitely design. Like, I have designed my lifestyle to continue to fight and to be healthy doing this, and to try to make the most of it. So there are definitely things of it that I've done that I think are unique, and put me comparatively, like, to athletes in some other sports, the Cal Ripken Juniors and stuff like that. You're not getting into the Hall of Fame in baseball or basketball or football if you're only in the league for 4 years, 5 years.
Yeah.
And when you start having, more starts than anybody, or you start topping a lot of those lists, it becomes a lot easier, and you might not have the Super Bowl championship or the World Series under your belt, but that's a conversation that I hopefully don't have to have in a couple of years, but that I'll put a lot more focus into it when I'm done.
Yeah, and like you said, some of the greatest players of all time don't have rings. My favorite athlete of all time, Patrick Ewing, never won an NBA championship, but he was a first ballot Hall of Famer. And your accolades aren't just longevity based. Most wins, tied for most sub, that's like results based. And so no one
Yeah.
can take that from you. Last thing, are they going to announce you? Is Buffer going to announce you as Jim freaking Miller? Is that the official request? Are we doing this?
That's the official request.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I the thing is I haven't talked to him.
Okay.
So I don't know if he swears while he's working. I don't know if he is willing to do that, but it's one time.
Come on,
Bruce.
Yes.
Come on, Bruce.
Let's go.
It's one time, Yeah. So it would be awesome. It would probably make the hairs on the back of my neck stand up, But I think it would be cool, and I think if we press him with enough, just egging him on, right? And
Yeah, little peer
maybe
pressure.
a petition. Yeah, get a little pressure on him. But I think he'll do it. I think he'll do it.
This is so lovely, man. Really, I couldn't be happier for you. You're an inspiration to old guys like me who couldn't even dream of doing what you do. But it's just after all these years to see you not only just as like a guy on the roster, you're not a token member of the roster. You're out there winning fights, 5 out of your last 6. It's a beautiful thing. One of my favorite stories of the last few years. So congratulations on
Thank
the
you, Ariel.
recent win and all of the success that's coming your way. And then, of course, getting on 300. What an accomplishment. 100, 200, 300. No one else can say that but you. And dare I say, no one else will be ever able to say that. There'll be no 300, 400, 500 guys. So well done, Jim. Congrats and looking forward to it.
Thank you very much, Ariel. Thanks for having me on.
There he is, Jim fucking Miller. Thanks for watching. We appreciate it very much. Hey, if you like this video, give us the old thumbs up. Subscribe as well. You could get many more of these videos on the channel. So please do that. We would love you forever if you did so.